You're listening to Ignite Your Success, a podcast that inspires fitness professionals to build a strong business that enables them to serve more people and engineer the lifestyle they desire. It's Brad Shepherd here, and together with Jason Ubanowicz, we're best known for running Trainer HQ, a community of passionate and profit-hungry fitness business owners that make a massive difference in others' lives every day. Each episode will unpack for you exactly what's working and deliver best practice strategies so you can confidently grow your business and make a huge impact. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Trainer HQ podcast. And today we're following the path of our success stories here at Trainer HQ. And we've got Ezra Pooley from EPPT. Did I do too many P's in?
Hey, add in as many as you want, bro.
EPPT is what it is, right?
That's the one.
Yeah. Still got some bodybuilding in me, you know what I mean? So
yeah, mate. It's pretty obvious in the shirt, bro.
Hey, mate, a huge welcome, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So one of our New Zealand superstars, what a lot of people don't know at Train HQ is we've got, out of all of our clientele, roughly about 20% of our client base is from NZ.
Yeah.
And, mate, you're definitely one of those that are leading the chase over there. So, mate, super excited to have this interview and to run through your story, brother.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And it's cool to see a lot of the NZ personal trainer community considering this type of stuff and making the transition to these types of programs, especially a legitimate one. There's a lot of bullshit ones out there. So
yeah, that's great. Well, thanks for the vote of faith and confidence. So, brother, let's rewind the clock. You've been in the game for a while. Tell us about your launch into the industry and how did you kick off?
Yeah. No. So I guess like a lot of PTs, you sort of do average at some sports things and remain average at some sports stuff, and you're like, I really like all this working out and all this other type of stuff, and you're helping friends and so on. And so I just sort of naturally gravitated towards the personal training career. I can't say that it was something at the time that I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this forever and I'm going to be the best at it and all this other type of stuff. But left school, did the certs, started working. I worked for a gym for a brief moment, maybe about 3 months. But during my time at the gym, I already knew that I wanted to be a PT. They were like, nah, mate, we want you fucking wiping down benches and we want you, doing these little sign-up things, all that other type of stuff. I really didn't want to do that. I came here to train people. And so at that time, I really did make a beeline for getting clients, and I was confident. I thought I was really good at this stuff. And I did manage to build up a client base quite quickly.
Yeah, that's cool.
A lot of it just through like gym floor conversations and building relationships and just real basic things. But after that, just laziness, coasted, and then basically lost all ability for a long time to do anything outside of my comfort zone, really.
Love it, mate. Thanks for the honesty. A lot of people probably wouldn't stick their hand up to admit that was the case. So, and you mentioned you're straight out of school, right? So can you remember what year did you actually finish high school and when did you actually launch in the game?
But it was the next year. So I finished high school in 2013 was my last year.
Yeah. Yep.
And then it was by the end of 2014 that I finished the third.
You were fully qualified, yep. So now, like as we approach the end of 2024, this is your decade, 10-year anniversary in the fitness industry.
Yeah, 100%, bro. We had a end of year celebration for our clients, and it was crazy because I was handing 2 clients a Decade of Dedication award.
Oh, wow. That's great. So you've still got clients who've been with you since day one.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Congratulations. Yeah. It's a great thing. Hey, it's why we do it, right? So yeah. So you said that there was a period in there where you probably weren't living out your capabilities. So, well, first of all, like you said, you were pretty good at getting a client base. So what happened then? You got yourself to a certain amount of revenue or something and a certain number of clients per week?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would now consider myself, like, thinking about my previous self, super lazy. So super lazy. So I might have thought I was like really full, but it might have just been like a handful of clients, but it was ticking me over.
Yeah, and do you remember what that equated to per week? Was it $1,000 a week or $1,500 a week or something? Or
Bro, for a long time. And here's the other part of it. Here's the other thing, right? It was just all just doing the do. It was just turn up, do PT sessions, do my own workouts, try and get ripped, and then just train other people. And then, people would come and go, and there was like no real tracking. It was like, all right, I've got enough money to pay my bills, and whatever, I'll spend whatever else is there. And
yeah. So that's code for you got no fucking idea how much you were earning back then.
yeah, it would have just fluctuated, man. I bet like some weeks it would have been just like a few hundred. Other weeks it would have been over a grand, and some weeks I know I did like a couple of grand, but it's all over the show, man.
Yeah, sweet. And not uncommon, again, like, I mean, you see plenty of new trainers coming through the industry. It's something you're very passionate about is developing new talent. So, I mean, I see it happening, right? I'm 30 years in the game, you're 10 years in the game. This stuff still happens in this day and age, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, of your 10 years, then roughly what portion do you reckon that you were not living out your to your best capabilities?
8.
8, yeah. So, a good 80% of that time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So it's taken you what 10 years, and but in the last 2 of those to really build what you've done. So you really feel it 2 to 3 years really where you really built that. Hey,
I must have your bodybuilder brain, bro. Just a real slow learner, a slow burn.
Yeah, I'll take that. I can't take that as a compliment, can I?
You tried.
So, what was a turning point for you? Like, what made you decide that, all right, man, I've got to make a change?
Right. So I guess a multitude of things. What the first thing was that the whole time I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
There is something about like having you put your head in the sand when you know you're doing wrong. You know what I mean? And so that whole time, just doing enough to make it through doesn't feel good. There's no security. You're essentially living like week to week. Every time Christmas time rolls around, all your clients go away. You're fucking freaking out. All that stuff. The whole lifestyle, in a sense, just it sucks. So, the whole time I was just, I guess, letting the pain build up enough, to a point where it would change. But the other thing too was, I met my partner, and then blah blah blah, had our first child, and as soon as that moment came, it was like that was the fire under my ass. Just it's not about you anymore, and you got to go for it.
Yeah. It's a monumental moment. Hey, that life-changing moment when that occurs.
Yeah, 100%. And at the same time, there was a couple of other things that happened as well. One of my clients that I've had for 10 years, fantastic businessman. The rest of the 80% of the time, I didn't utilize his brains. I was almost like scared to, just didn't want him asking too many questions. But I remember training him and him having a chat to me, and he's like, what are your goals over the next 6 months? What are your goals over the next year, next 5 years, 10 years? And I just sort of like was trying to jump around these questions and get away from it. And I was trying to drum up some things like, I don't really have goals, and I don't really just care about money and all that type of stuff. I'm not really, aiming to have a big old mansion or something like that. It doesn't bother me. And he said, well, what if your wife and kid are sitting there saying, fuck, I want a fucking mansion, Dad, where's our fucking mansion, And then there was something in that line that immediately made me think like, yeah, you have the ability to affect more people than just yourself. And, just one conversation like that just reminds you that you're in the driver's seat and you're in control of all this type of stuff. And, if you want it to change, you can get up and do that, eh?
Yeah, it's great. Hey, so powerful. And again, it's that thing. It's sitting right under your nose. That client was with you. What you see them, a few times a week, probably, right, for so many years. And then to remember that so vividly now, and what it meant for you, is so powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. Did you have a moment like that in your career, or did you find you were quite?
Yeah, look,
that drive, or?
Oh, no. My first 5 years was very much a roller coaster journey. So, like you described, I was all over the shop, no systems, processes, and it was really not until, I many of those combos had good people looking out for me who would say things, and it wasn't until the penny had to drop for me and go, hey, it's time for me to make that decision. So, yeah. So it's almost verbatim, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Did you ever find it hard to sort of learn to reach out, or learn to sort of take help and that type of stuff?
Yeah, I'd say I probably wasn't initially that way inclined. But once I saw that there were so many people who wanted to help, then it opened the pathway, and things beyond building fitness businesses. We wouldn't have got into investing in property if it wasn't for clients that I was training who said, "Man, you're making money over here, but what are you doing with it over there?" Right. So and that was a turning point as well. So yeah, it's cool. I love it, man. So this is all happening around a similar time. So you had that conversation with your client. Yeah. First kid born.
First kid. He gave me a book too, and it was he's massive into self-development, and he gave me this book, and it was just a real basic one. It was just Goals by Brian Tracy, and all it was just a whole book just about where to even start with thinking about goals. What is your actual dream outcomes? If you had all self-doubt and everything else put to the side, all those fears, worries, what are your fears and worries? Where are you at now? All those things. But it's going through that for me was almost like a self-discovery process, because I had put that stuff aside for so long, learning actually like, what do I want? That was, I was like learned a lot about myself and those types of things. And then part of that was actually, one of the questions was like, what communities could you get yourself involved in? And around that time was also when I was starting to see some things around the Trainer HQ pop up, and that was also one of the other things that ended up getting on that list.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Hey, so we got Brian Tracy to thank for our introduction, by the sounds of it, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
your client and Brian Tracy, and and then so it's around about that time that then you would have got the invite to join the True Coach. We had a joint alliance with True Coach, and I was running some training. That's how you first heard about us?
Yeah, jumped on that webinar and watched the presentation that I guess a lot of people are familiar with. We were talking about those basic 101s of marketing and results. Not marketing features and niche and all that type of stuff. And
yeah, that's cool. And at the same time, you tuned into some other of our resources.
Yeah, that's right. So after going on the webinar, the True Coach webinar, I remember searching you guys and finding that you had the podcast. And I remember I can't remember the title of it, but it was Brad Davis, and I think at the time he must have had like 9 coaches or something working under him. And I remember, in conversation with people, the idea of the subcontractor model and all those types of things coming up, and just being like, there's no way you can't pull something off like that. You just build somebody up, and then they'd leave and they'd take all your clients, and that'd be it. And then like here I was sort of listening to this podcast and a couple of others where people had done a fantastic job of it. They'd also kept their team for a long time. Their team had done some amazing things. They had some really satisfied coaches under them and everything else. And that sort of just showed me what was possible there.
Yeah, it's so cool. Hey, it's a success leaves clues, when you start to see evidence of it. And you go, okay, 100%. Cool. If you got all these people, who have followed a similar pathway, and you're like, well, if they can do it, then so can I.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly it. It just showed you that it can be done.
Yeah. And at that point in time, so let's just say you're always been underneath the roof of the gym, right, as a rent-based trainer. And at that point in time, as you were getting indoctrinated to this new learning and so forth, you were still sort of hovering in that 1,500 to $2,000 mark, were you? Or
yeah. So after the whole goals conversation with one of my clients, that put the fire under me, and then I was doing heat, so my session amount was just going up and up, and a couple of years ago, the session amount is up to like even like mid-50s per week.
Yeah.
Just myself, and like that's consistently.
Yeah.
So the session volume got right up there, and
so I imagine with that, then you would have had a good transition in terms of earning potentiality. So it's like, all right, beauty, new family, and now more revenue coming in. But I guess the biggest thing was your exchange of time for money. So you're exchanging a bucket load of time, energy, effort, and so forth to achieve that.
And just hating life, Mate, it sounds like what do they call it? Like hustle porn, where you're just like getting after it and it's so cool and everything else, but you're doing 55 sessions. Those aren't quality sessions. You don't feel like you're doing the best by your clients or anybody else around you. Hey.
Yeah, and I guess as a result of that, then you would have been early starts, late finishes. I feel like you were sort of stretched all over the place.
Yeah, having nights of like I remember having multiple days of not seeing my child, could be gone in the morning, and then, he's already in bed by the time I was getting home, and I just didn't sit well with me personally.
Yeah, 100%. And again, back to the thing, what's the driving force, right? So there's got to be enough desire, enough dissatisfaction, for you to want to make this happen. It sounds like there was plenty of that on both ends, that's for sure. So,
yeah. But definitely starting the program around that $2,000 a week mark.
Yeah. So now, as we then move forward, we've kicked off our working relationship together, and turns out that Brad Davis became your coach. So you've listened, you've heard the story on the podcast.
Sure.
What's that?
Made sure of it.
Yeah, you've heard the story. You've gone, yep, he's the guy, and so that you've had that, for the last few years, being able to be coached directly from Brad and learn those methods and so forth, which is really cool. Hey.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So tell us about some of the learning, like in the early stages of coaching, and the difference it made for you.
Early stages. I guess everything. Like, I feel like a lot of people who would go through the Trainer HQ process have those same things where you're getting asked those basic questions about, like, have you seen an accountant? Do you have these types of bank accounts set up? Do you have what is it, like the cancellation policies? Do you have all those basic things? And from session one, when you're getting asked all of this, it's like everyone is just like a punch in the gut. You're like, nah. just feeling dumber and dumber by the moment. But it's good, because then once you're establishing that type of stuff, then you've got an actual solid framework to work off of. You're just setting the foundation, So initially, it was that type of stuff, just that foundational work, get a solid machine, like you talk about. It's just, setting the foundations for a taller tower. Yeah, big time. And it has multiple times since then as well.
Yeah. So I guess what it meant for you is then you could go through the process of going, well, I don't have to do, say, 55 sessions. I can do less, but still earn at least the same amount or potentially more based on manipulating those numbers.
Oh, 100%. Now I would, especially for a new client, I'd be charging double what I was back then.
Yeah.
Years ago.
So whilst all that was happening, so let's rewind to like the early days, the early era of you doing it. Like you said, not really pumped about it. Maybe in your opinion, maybe you could have done a lot better. Lazy was the word you used. Now, fast forward to the new the new Ezra. What things did you notice and so forth in terms of like your mindset and your approach and so forth?
Me, so just so I'm clear, me now versus me then.
That's right. Yeah, as you went through that transition.
Oh, mate, just like you said, it's just a completely different person. It's just the mindset and everything just not even relatable.
Yeah. Feel like it's almost a different person back in that era.
100%. I mean, I could get into the smaller things from there, but I mean, all characteristics, very, very different.
Yeah, yeah. And then relate this to like your clients and so forth, the people you want to serve. So what did it mean for you in terms of like the people you were attracting into the business and so forth?
Well, I mean, it's a funny thing, like when who's the guy, like work harder on yourself than you do your job. Jim Rohn, and then when you work harder on yourself than you do your job, everything else starts to go better, and you start to attract more of the right things. So I'm not even sure if I'm answering your question right now, but I know that when I started to behave a certain way, I even started to attract a certain type of client.
Yeah, yeah.
You're far more professional, you're far more effective, you talk different, you walk different. I know you guys have said it before when it comes to talking about pricing models, but the way you walk into a facility, if you're someone who's not charging much versus, if you're far above average, you're going to act accordingly.
That's right. Yeah, 100%. For anybody and anyone tuning into this, it happens all the time. Someone listening to it going, okay, well, I'm charging $80 a session, and if I was to turn up and charge $110 a session, what type of trainer am I going to turn up as? What's my mindset going to be? What's my approach going to be? What language am I going to have? So,
and what game are you in? As well. It's when it comes to pricing as well. If you're pricing yourself, against those who are working in box fitness gyms and all those other types of things, those become your competition. If you're a PT who's charging $50 an hour, and I'm not sure what box fitness studios are popular over there, but if that's costing the same as like a Bodyfit or F45 or something else like that, that's your competition, and you're competing in the fitness game. Whereas what most of us are doing in our business anyway, under a roof of a commercial gym, is we're not just in the fitness business, right? We're in the accountability business, we're in the relationships business, we're in the community business. So understanding where it is you actually provide value is also important to that whole conversation as well, I feel.
Yeah, love it, so good, and yeah, you've beautifully answered the question there, because that's exactly it. Just such an important part of it, and it's a thing. Hey, it's where we move from just simply turning up and exchanging time for money, and swap. It's a completely different way of looking at it.
Yeah, and I think the further away you get from that, the more you just want to run away from that type of work altogether. You never want to exchange sort of time for money like that again.
Yeah. That's good. All right, let's talk some revenue numbers that you achieved as a solo trainer, because obviously you've built yourself up and you started to achieve some good numbers. So can you remember roughly what you got to just by yourself?
It was like doubling almost each year once I got my shit together. So it was like $2,000, and then I started with Brad, and I think we went up to like 5 something, and then around 5.
Yeah, you're able to achieve as a solo trainer, and again, anyone tuning into this will know that that's a equates to the add that over the course of a year, that's $250K. It's a very solid earn for that exchange of time. But we wanted more, right? So it's like, okay, I can serve more people. So when was a turning point when you decided, all right, it's time to now go beyond just myself and start to grow a team?
Again, a couple of things. Like I was saying before, one is just general burnout and being sick of that. It was like, if I can't get this somewhere else, then I just might even just look at other things, because it just felt like I didn't want to. I was terrified of doing the same thing forever and ever, and it felt sort of dead-endish. And that was the attraction of having that conversation with Brad. In terms of building the team, it was just getting to that point where I'd like peaked out my own time. Looking back on it, I didn't need to do it in that order. It was something I definitely could have started long before that, and knowing what I know now.
It's such a critical point you make, and for anyone tuning into this, it's a really good learning point. We've seen this, for the almost 20 years of coaching trainers, and this happens a lot. People go, they're doing well, and they might be doing $2,000 a week, $2,500 a week, maybe $3,000 a week. They've got themselves in a really good spot. Things are moving in the right direction. They go, okay, I want to grow and I want to potentially take on a trainer, which is a great example of it. All right, I'm at I'm at 35 sessions a week. When I consistently do 40 sessions a week and I'm bringing in X, then I'll go and take on the trainer, right? Meanwhile, get yourself to 40-odd sessions a week. That's more time, effort, energy, leads to overwhelm, burnout, and all the rest of it. You just don't have time to hunt for the right people, So what you're indicating there is to go, well, hold on. If I was just to do that, if I'm back at 30 sessions a week, but I've got the confidence to know I can build somebody up, then you shouldn't have to wait, because once again, that 40 sessions might never come for a lot of people.
Yeah. Was your story the exact same? Were you just pushing yours and then,
Yeah, I was at full capacity, burnout, and when I was trying to hire my first trainer, I was all over the shop. I was due to, and then my first hire was like out of desperation because didn't have any systems or processes in place, So and consequently probably didn't pick the right person. And then it wasn't until I got got the learning and the education on, hold on, man, there's a system behind this and how to do it differently. So. But I had the mindset back then of, I've got to pay people way more than I thought I needed to because I wanted to keep them. I was too afraid of losing them, but didn't realize it back then until I learned that it's all based around an economic model, right? So the model needs to be profitable, and there's no point you to be in the bank where you just collect all the money and just hand it all back out again, So
yeah, totally. Hopefully that first person you hired isn't listening to this, eh?
Still in communication with him, so he's, he may be somewhere along the line, and he would probably agree because the reason why he wasn't the right fit is that the person I picked was the next Brad Shepherd. We did everything alike. We walked alike. We talked alike. We were into the same things, and he had the entrepreneurial spirit, right? So he was always going to be frustrated, working under somebody else, and so that's a great example of where it may not be the right fit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, totally. It took me like a year to find my first guy as well.
Yeah. I remember me and you have some back and forth conversations about your prospecting and so forth, and your hiring of recruiting the right people, and it was that's the thing. Hey, there's a system behind all this.
There is, but like you're saying as well, if having that patience there, especially with foundational members to your team, it saves so many headaches and brings a lot more smiles moving forward, eh?
Yeah, it's so good. And now you got a great team in place. So unpack currently right now. What does the business look like, and what where are you operating out of?
So there's myself and three other trainers here with me at the moment. Starting next year, we'll be looking to bring on another. We are operating out of 2 facilities. So working our team across the 2 gyms. There's 2 of us here and then 2 of us at the other facility, and we'll bring another trainer in this facility starting next year.
And these 2 facilities, they're not the same brand, are they? Two completely independent brands, and you've been able to, I guess, find the correct working relationship where you can operate out of 2 independent places.
Yeah. I mean, it brings, like all things, its own sort of challenges. It gives us like some really unique opportunities to be pretty much like the sole agency of personal training at one facility, which is really cool. To actually just build a foundation at this other facility from scratch, and obviously opens us up to the database of 2 whole gyms, which is just crazy. So it's good there. But for myself, running a lot of the sales and marketing, that type of stuff, obviously it's just learning new ways of doing things when you're working with multiple facilities.
Yeah. And I guess that's where you would have grown a lot in terms of your leadership and your management style with all these different facilities.
Oh, mate, I think you almost started to speak on it before a little bit, but what is it like, to reflect on your own business as soon as you get one trainer coming on board, and they're going, and then what do I do? And then what do I do? And what do I do when they do this? And what do I do when they do that? And, that process of building processes for every little thing and every little situation is its own sort of art form that you get introduced to, right?
Yeah. It's and there's so many, never any shortage of challenges. And like we say in the training, and I say it all the time, it's not the one person that you hire, but it's the 99 you turn away in the process that makes all the difference, right? So you want to have this system where you're meeting lots of people and you're finding the right fit for you.
Yeah.
All right. So yourself plus 3 trainers out of 2 locations. How many PT sessions per week?
Around 100 per week at the moment, give or take.
100 PT sessions a week. And what does that equate to in rough turnover numbers per week?
In terms of income? Yeah. So we're just over around 10 grand a week.
10K weeks, yeah, fantastic. That's awesome. And I know, obviously, we've had a lot of communication, been watching this in action. And so, I mean, it's really been a good portion of this year that you've been hitting some very high numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a nice gradual increase. But, it has been the whole way through the program, just being obsessed with growth, and sort of takes care of itself.
Yeah, we watch put your trajectory on a graph, and you pretty much see that linear pattern from the 2K a week and all the way up. And we talk about the training we run there. How do you go from 2 grand a week to 5, 6 or more per week? Obviously, you do more than that, and there's steps to be put in place, right? It's thinking differently. Like it's be very challenging for you to do 100 plus PT sessions a week. But, it's leverage, right? Let's find ways that we can serve more people, plus, provide employment opportunities for others, plus, be able to build a community of people, right?
Yeah. 100%. And the job completely changes, it goes from just serving clients to, helping trainers and helping PTs, which is, a completely different job.
Yeah. And all this, I guess, in our journey together, in the 2 to 3 years that we've been together, and you've been as part of our community and our program and so forth, and it's been a pleasure to watch you do all that, because I guess you've just been open to it all, right? Yeah. Having been coached for that time, what do you feel like are some of the things that you've needed to, overcome or change, or be open to during that time?
Oh, I mean, everything, and it doesn't end either. I think a lot of people can relate to that mindset too, where you are just focused on the next thing to develop, right, and the next thing to get better at. But I guess what's good about having a coach like Brad is having my thinking around each situation challenged. If I go to him with one idea or one challenge or one situation, he might show me what the other side of that coin looks like. So sometimes it's being challenged with like, oh, I need to change this little process, or I need to tweak this script, or, change, this marketing idea or whatever it is. But then other times it's really just changing, your perspective and being able to look at things from a different angle, which again is one of the big benefits of being a part of this.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey, and as we always talk about, people being, you got to be coachable, right? And if open to ideas, suggestions, you got to be someone who can implement.
Yeah, totally. But I think when you get a high level coach, it's not just like that tell and sell stuff, because you have to make those calls at the end of the day, and no one knows your business like you. But to have someone who has high level experience in the same industry and have their brains to bounce off is invaluable.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Thanks for sharing that. Obviously, for anyone tuning into this, that is arguably you're in a great spot. You're killing it. Things are going well. Where do you feel like you sit on your business journey right now? So you had your first period. Now you've had this period of growth. Where do you still feel like you are in that whole landscape?
Just still at the start. Honestly, I feel like I'm just right at the start. Over the last two years coming into this, doing this type of stuff, it's I know, to go back to your last question, there's nothing that you're not working on or changing, at frequency. And I'm just looking at everything that I do right now, and if I had more time and more arms and legs, it would be, developing, and we will be. But it's it just feels like such early days, man.
Yeah, it's so true. We say it all the time, and for us in the head office here, me and Jace just turned 50 this year. I mean, hard to imagine, I know. 30 years in the game, it's like we feel like we just turned 50, but we feel like we just turned 50, but really we just turned 30 in some ways. and we still feel like we got so much more to do and achieve. It's because when you love what you do, you're so passionate, you can see what's possible, where this thing could go. It's super exciting.
Yeah, well, I think like talking to guys like yourself, and I know I have other clients who are high achievers as well. And you talk about that sort of high achiever mindset and those types of things. They very much are those characters who are not focused on like when is the finish line. It's just you understand that that's all just smoke and mirrors, and that the whole game is the next step and the next challenge and the next little bit of progression, and that's actually where the rewards are anyway.
Yeah. Along your journey, you've added to the family as well?
Yes, second child, building the team. Yeah, that just more motivation.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me now, what's life like for you now in terms of like your routine and family and so forth? So can you give us like a bit of an explanation on that?
Yeah, I think as you change business model from doing things yourself to running things with a team, it doesn't always necessarily mean that you're like all of a sudden you're just like sitting back at you're just the work that you're putting in is just different now. It's not just on the floor time. So in terms of my routine, whereas I was doing like 55 sessions a week before, I'm doing less than half of that now. So far less floor time. Most of my time is spent doing the back end stuff, and that's the stuff I love: training the trainers, running the business. I've fallen in love with every part of the sales process. Sales is just what I just absolutely love. So that's where I'm spending a lot of the time, and that's where I want to continue to spend a lot of my time. But still in the chair very early in the morning, and here chipping away. But at the same time, it does give me the freedom at the end of the day to go home, be with my family on the weekends, be with my family. If I was sick, I can have a sick day off and not not be stressing, or a week away, or whatever it is. It doesn't. Those types of things are not on the brain as much.
Yeah, so powerful. And the things that I heard out of all that is, I guess, first things first, it's you've engineered your lifestyle, right? So it's the thing, hey, it's way bigger than the income targets, the 10 grand a week, all that sort of stuff, all that. Yeah, we celebrate it, right? But really, that's one bit, right? The other bit is what it supplies you with, right? Because it's hard to put a price on the fact that you get to go home, see your kids at night, bath them, read to them at night, all those things, right?
Yeah, some of those things sometimes you wish you just were working. Hey, on a bad day, you're like, fucking doing 55 PTs probably doesn't seem too bad right now. No, but that is the motivation, eh? So like everything you're doing here is for the lifestyle, eh?
Yeah, and then the other part that here is 100% of your income is no longer connected to 100% of your time, right?
Yeah.
So right now, if we talk about, just in terms of PT sessions, if you're taking care of around about 20% of the total number of PT sessions, that means we've got the 80-20 principle, that 80% of the sessions are done by the team, which is incredible as well. Again, which you take on the role of leadership. And like you said, you take care. So over to the sales part, you're responsible for, you do look after all the sales or most of it. How does that play out?
Yeah, most of it at the moment. The other trainers I have, there's a couple who are really capable of sales, and it's stuff that we actually work on. So in the long-term vision, for now, I'm still heavily focused on that to get everyone and keep everyone in a good space and to continue to grow this thing. But there's trainers that we have right now that will definitely be able to fill that type of sales role, and to be able to help them take their next steps along that journey as well, because they need that same stimulation like you're talking about before. If you've got driven characters who are there with you and they're just sitting in front of a wall, they're not going to want to be there. So, and you're probably not going to want to be around them. Like it's cool to be around motherfuckers who are coming in each week and you're having a conversation at your weekly meeting and people are talking about the shit that they're going to be getting after this week. Like that's what I want to be around. And I don't want to have a team culture where we're sitting around people who are just like, each week talking about why they didn't do the shit and, how hard everything is and, all that stuff,
So that thing with the leadership, hey, you manage things, lead people, and it's that thing about leadership is just such a powerful and important thing and part of this process. When you got people on the journey who they buy into it, they believe it. It's really cool.
But I'm sure you were the same. I'm sure you were. It helps to lead by example, eh? Like I don't think that people listening to this, um, everyone's coming to the table in a different place, in a different stage of life. As I said, you sort of heard what mine was, that when you're in a place where you can lead by example, if you're going to be encouraging other people to call strangers and, go have these types of conversations and do this task and that task, they're far more responsive if you're out there leading at the front. If you're trying to create a culture with a team where you want to be around people who, are lighting each other's fires as well, you've got to be putting in the work too to just even attract those characters.
Yeah. So good, man. That's awesome. All right. In terms of where might we be heading in the future?
You. All right. Mate, well, I guess it's always one thing at a time. Like I said before, there's just fucking so much to be done with this type of stuff that it's hard to even look past the next task or getting the next part of the process going. There's just so much to be done here, and everything that offers. So that's the first thing, and that'll allow us to reach our next goals with business in terms of income and expansion and more trainers and working with more facilities, helping out more clients, helping out more trainers themselves with their businesses. At the same time, starting to have the training with yourself and your team as well, and helping out other trainers through the Trainer HQ side a little bit as well. So beginning that process. So just more in the trainer development space through multiple avenues, really. Hey.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, no, it's a thing. Hey, like we look at all of our coaches here at Trainer HQ. Of the 14, 12 of them have been clients of ours who have, like yourself, started for many years, been on the program for many years, built themselves up, got themselves to the point where they can step to the side and afford the time to be able to coach, mentor others, and it becomes win-win because it keeps them at the top of their game, right? So when you're out there coaching and assisting and teaching others the methodologies, it enables you to stay at the top as well as watch the growth in others, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that goal stuff? With that being said, because I think a lot of people are, there's a lot more conversations these days when it comes to talking about goals that, people realize that might be the direction in which you're sailing the ship, but obviously everything comes down to the systems and processes so much that I know a lot of people who might not even be thinking about, that next year, the next 5, the next 10. It is just like nail the next step. Where do you feel like you sit on that spectrum?
I think it's got to be a healthy blend, right? So you want to be clear on what this thing could look like. There's some other things I've really taken away from your model, and this is for the people tuning in, is that you don't have to have a huge team of trainers to turn over a really decent revenue, right? That's the first thing. So some people think, geez, I've got to have this massive number of people to get to some of these numbers. And you can see what's possible with a reasonably, we won't call it small, but with a modest team, right? That's the first bit. And then the other bit to that is also the fact that for you as the business owner, what I have seen some people do as they start to grow a team is they see the fruits of the fact that I could have a team of people doing this. And so I'll just drop myself right down. So, next minute they're doing, 3 or 4 sessions a week. And we come in and analyze it and we go, hold on, man, you're an asset in this business. You're an income producing asset. And that's why it's so important for you at this stage of the game right now to make sure that you are producing that. Because if you just stepped away from that, obviously that could put a dent in, straight away, right?
Yeah.
It's So I guess that's a long way of answering to say that you got to have that long term vision and strategy to go. Okay, what could this thing look like? And for you in 12 months' time, and it goes, all right. Is it me? I've got me +3 now. Is it me +5? And what do those numbers look like? As well as these systems in place, as well as the fact that we've got hybrid happening. And again. Then the next step is the actions, right? So what are the things I need to do and put in place? And then finally, the last part is what skills, because you've developed a lot of skills in the last 3 years of being on the coaching and so forth. It's what are my skills at the next phase that I need to keep growing on?
Yeah, 100%. I know you asked that question earlier. I didn't really answer it, but I feel like there'll just be such a long rambly list, because it is huge. I know you guys have said it before as well, that business is the best self-development program there is, but I guess a lot of coaches out there think about it, and with their clients, maybe someone's trying to lose weight, but if they don't also value like any forms of discipline or temperance, or want to have achieve all those other characteristics and see some of those values displayed from themselves, and it's hard to get anywhere. So it's some of those smaller things like systems and processes, but also a lot of that character building. Sorry, mate.
And then to double back on that question, when I asked you where do you feel like you are on your journey, and it was definitely a loaded question, and because I knew what your answer might be, knowing you, because you're such a high achiever and high performer. You go, well, I'm at the beginning, right? But then you look at everything you've done, learned, put in place, and there's fucking shitloads in there, right?
Yeah, 100%. There's so many little things,
Yeah, and I guess the way I hear that is the fact for you, that you got a lot more to do and to achieve out there.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Love it, mate. Love it. You really epitomise, in my opinion, what Trainer HQ is all about. Someone who's, you're open-minded, coachable. You follow the steps. Again, you've got your family life, you've got your business life. You're ticking all these boxes, and you're just doing it all. You just do it always. You're open-minded to it. You never take anything for granted, and you just put in the work. So, a huge congratulations, brother.
Appreciate it, bro. Anytime you want to just call up and keep those compliments coming, man. I'm actually a little bit sad you didn't keep going. I thought it was a bit short. No, I do appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, so once again, been a pleasure having you on. So everybody, thanks for tuning in to Ezra Pooley from EPPT, who's our NZ superstar, who's absolutely killing it. So yeah, brother, mate, here's to the future for us.
Yeah, and some NZ PTs.
Yeah, we got plenty out there to take to the next level.
Yeah, cool, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me,
Thanks, bro. See you, mate.